The last time the Bucks and the 49ers met was in the season opening game in 2019. It was Bruce Arians' first game as Buccaneer head coach, but it wasn't a good one as the 49ers came away with a 31-17 decision. But there have been 6 Buccaneer head coaches who've won their first game with the franchise. Can you name them? I'll have the answers to that one later on. But back to the Bucks and Niners series. And back in the 80s and 90s, when the Bucks were struggling and the 49ers were seemingly winning the Super Bowl every year, it was not really a fair matchup. It was like Barney against the Masters of the Universe. But going back to 1980, you find the first ever win for the Tampa Bay franchise on the West Coast. Now, these were John McKay's I formation Buccaneers, but Ricky Bell was beginning to be supplanted as the lead tailback by Jerry Eckwood. He had 2 scores in this game, including a 35-yarder that put the Bucks 14-13 ahead in the third quarter. It would come down to the last Buccaneer drive, one that went 68 yards in 16 plays in 7 minutes. Garo Yepremian, who'd been part of the perfect Miami Dolphins, kicked a 30-yard field goal and the Bucks won 24-23. And then during the 80s and 90s came all those losses. And at one point, the Bucks had a 1-12 record against the 49ers. But amongst those 9 straight defeats, there were some quite memorable games. The one in 1986 was the season opener, and it had a Buccaneer quarterback throw 7 interceptions in one game. It wasn't Vinny. It wasn't even a very young Jameis. It was Steve DeBerg. The Bucks, of course, lost that game 31-7, but it was the day that Leroy Selman's 63 jersey was officially retired by the franchise. The Bucks took a late 16-13 lead in the Week 2 game in 1989, and in the early days of British TV coverage, host Mick Luckhurst gave out that the Buccaneers had actually won. Unfortunately, Joe Montana scoring 1 with 40 seconds left spoiled the party, but Mick did call me the next day to apologise on behalf of all the British Buccaneer fans. The 1994 game at Candlestick was memorable for many reasons. It was Trent Dilfer's first start, and it also saw the first 2-point conversion in team history when Craig Erickson found Horace Copeland at the end of another 49er blowout. But this game saw the ultimate trivia note. The Bucks played 16 games that season, but quarterbacks started 17. How did that happen? Well, Sam Weish had Erickson line up as a wide receiver in a trick formation in this game. Naturally, it didn't succeed as Vince Workman lost 4 yards on the carry. And then we came to the 1997 season opener. The first appearance of the new uniforms, the Pewter Pirates, were on show for the first time. No one expected the Bucks to win this game, but Jerry Rice and Steve Young both went out with injuries, but it took until the fourth quarter for the Bucks to go ahead.
Second down and goal from the 1. Dilfer out of the pocket. And it's a touchdown to the tight end, Dave Moore. And Tampa Bay's got the lead. From the 26. Young darts a pass, deflected and intercepted at the 33-yard line. Picked off by Tyrone Leggett.
Tyrone Leggett only had 1 interception in his Buccaneer career, but what a time to get it, to seal the game. And I remember Joel Glazer telling me that this was one of his favourite moments in all the years he's been involved with the ownership of the franchise. The all-time record now stands at 18-6 San Francisco as the Bucks have begun to pull the series back. They had consecutive wins in 2016 and 2017, but let's go back to 2010, a shutout victory in Candlestick Park. Now I have to show this one because Donald Penn knows where I live.
LeGarrette Blount remains the back for Josh Freeman. Freeman looks, throws, that's a touchdown. Donald Penn on a tackle-eligible play. The left tackle hauls in the touchdown.
And the answers to a trivia question, the 6 Buccaneer head coaches who began their careers with a win: Ray Perkins, Richard Williamson, Sam Weish, the coach who shall not be mentioned on this show, Dirk Cutter, and Todd Bowles. How many did you get right? So that concludes the regular season games. Perhaps it's time we looked at the one postseason matchup between the Bucks and the 49ers. It happened in January 2003, and the Bucks were taking their first playoff step towards the Vince Lombardi Trophy. It was not close. In fact, it was so one-sided. Now, I was calling this game for British TV. We had to fill about 45 minutes before the second game started because this one was over so quickly. But wow, what an enjoyable victory. And Raymond James Stadium was rocking all through that first half.
It's 3rd and 1. He's in a tight end position. This is all stuff. With set blocking. Touchdown. 3rd down and 7. This is Juravicius. And that's a touchdown. 7.5 to go in the half. Johnson fires, end zone, Dudley for the touchdown. What a start for Brad Johnson. Easy touchdown, all stuff.
And you can look back at that game and all the other previous matchups with the 49ers at the best Buccaneer website in the world, buckpower.com. Every player, every game, everything Bucks.